What's up, AtoZ Sports live on a Monday. Gonna have a good conversation because JT was inside the Titans post-game losing locker room yesterday and has some observations. And I feel like we, as a company, I feel pretty good about what those observations mean. The Titans locker room sends a loud message to interim head coach Mike McCoy after getting blown out by the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. 25-3. It was a 3-0 Titans lead, and then 25 unanswered points by the Jags. Now the Titans have lost 11 consecutive home regular season games. It is not a good time at Nissan Stadium. JT, you can attest to that. But we're going to have a good show discussing what happened there. We'll hear from Mike McCoy. We'll hear from Titans rookie quarterback Cam Ward. We'll go in the locker room and look at what Jeffrey Simmons and Arden Key had to say after that win and tried to read between the lines, read the tea leaves, put our finger in the wind, and pick up what they're putting down about how this Titans locker room is feeling right now. And we're going to have a good show, and JT will discuss a little bit about the rookies situation as well after we talk about this Mike McCoy situation. Titans are 1-11 on the season. So here we go. JT, yes. What's up? Welcome in.
Yeah, what's up? Good morning, A to Z chat. Good morning. Good to see all of you guys. Yes, once again, I'm sorry that you don't get your Zach rant today. I'm sure he is continuing to do things behind the scenes that are more important than ranting about how bad this team is, because I think we all understand that. But I will once again be here to get us through the day, and I hope to reach your expectations, even though I don't think I can. But it's good to see all of you guys this morning. Nick says, is Zach out on the runway waiting for Kiffin to come back? I think
that's where Zach has been. He has just been clutching his pearls about all of the Lane Kiffin stuff the last handful of weeks.
Yeah, but going back to that game yesterday, it was something, and I was there to take it all in, even if it was against my will. I have a job to do. Would I like to be somewhere else on a Sunday afternoon where it starts out super dreary and cloudy and it ends up being a very nice looking day outside? Sure, but
a sunshiny beatdown.
Exactly. It was a sunshiny beatdown, and we'll get into all of that stuff, as well as what I saw from the locker room and what I believe to be happening for the Tennessee Titans right now. Excited to get into all of that. Good morning to all of you. Before we get started, need a couple of things from you guys today. First and foremost, if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you watching over there. If you guys could do us a favor, and even though the Titans suck, let's get that like. Let's get more likes on the show than the Titans had points. Maybe let's get more likes on the show than the Titans had penalties yesterday. So that would
first
be appreciated.
Downs. Which number is higher?
First downs. Which
points,
number is higher?
Penalties or first downs?
Yeah,
that's a low bar for likes, though.
It is a low bar. Let's smash that like button.
How about penalty yards?
More penalty yards. There we go. That's a great one right there. Lock in, like the show if you're on YouTube. And while you're down there, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. If you are on Facebook, we appreciate you watching over there, as well as Twitch. But if you're on Facebook, hit that like button, like the page, and then in the bottom right corner, share the show with a friend, a Titans fan who wants to get in on the conversation, talk about how horrendous that game was yesterday, how much of a waste of money the ticket was. I saw someone say a lower bowl ticket yesterday was $60, and he still felt like he was getting ripped off, which I don't blame you there. It was horrendous yesterday. I think the only good thing that came out of yesterday was the wiener dog race at halftime. I've heard about that. More.
I want more on that later on.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. But with that, Austin, I think we're ready to get going.
So officially welcome to AtoZ Sports here live on a Monday. I'm Austin Stanley. He is JT Runke. We are Nashville's on-demand sports network, going live weekday mornings at 8:10 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show, segment by segment, on our Twitter X timeline. Hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We do have the follow us on Google link that I will place in the chat here momentarily because I did not have that thing ready to go like I normally do. But you can follow us on Google. That goes a long way for us as Google is shifting to becoming where you can follow your preferred outlets. So when you're searching for Titans content, you can have AtoZ Sports show up in the top of your search feed there by following us on Google. Do have to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us. They're phenomenal. and they make it help you out too. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Barton Jury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, are local and online at bartonjury.com. Window Nation, yes, I have my new windows.
The windows are here.
You guys are waiting. WindowNation.com is where to go. They have 50% off all window styles. You get a free estimate at WindowNation.com. And Beroc Carts, life is short, buy a golf cart. Holidays are here, right? Holidays are here. So Beroc Carts in Columbia and in Gallatin. So Jeff saying that the Google link doesn't work on Facebook mobile. Well, that's dumb. Sometimes that's just how things go. I don't know why that doesn't happen that way, but you can follow us on Google there. So if you go to one of our articles, I'll just say this. If you read one of our articles on AtoZSports.com, there's a follow us on Google button. You can click that one, and it's at the top of the article above the image, so you can get it there. Because I know, Jeff, you're all over reading what Zach Reagan's writing about the Vols right now, especially after that loss to Vanderbilt, which, yeah, was a miserable. Actually, it wasn't. I was not that mad because I was preparing myself for weeks about what Diego Pavia was going to do to Tennessee. But that's not the topic for today, because the Titans got waxed by 22 points. One more point than Vandy beat Tennessee on Saturday night in Neyland Stadium. But 25 unanswered points after Cam Ward, the offense, put together another points-worthy drive to open the game like they did last week against Seattle. And then just it all fell off the rails. It all continued to get miserable. And JT, just to kind of set the stage, you were doing post-game work at Nissan Stadium, in the locker room, in the press conference room, editing up some content. But JT, I was big mad, capital P pissed in that post-game show to start things off. So I guess, how did you take in the experience of that unruly beatdown by the Jags? Yeah, I don't even know who to attribute it to. It wasn't like the Jags didn't play great. They just
they had more penalties and more penalty yards. That's another thing. We'll get into that. It was a terrible game by both teams. Sloppy football being played. I said before the game, when I got there, it was cloudy. It was sub 40 degrees, rainy, gray skies. And I got there and I said, this is the epitome of what seasonal depression looks like. Yep. Cold, cloudy, rainy, dreary. And then on top of all of that, you're looking forward to a Titans-Jaguars football game. That is the epitome of seasonal depression right there. And then finally the sun comes out and you say, oh, okay, so it's going to be a little bit more of a lighthearted day. And then the actual football product is being played on the field. And you say, oh no, this is seasonal depression. Watching this is this, even when the sun comes out, it still overtakes the seasonal depression there. This game was terrible. It was awful. It was no good. It was very bad. Cam Ward and company. And it didn't start off that way, which I thought was very interesting. I mean, maybe it was just the smoke and mirrors of a scripted drive early in that game, but Tony Pollard, who we thought was dead for lack of a better term there, I mean, no juice the past couple of weeks, rips off 3 yards, averaging 12 yards per carry. 3 carries for 36 yards on the first 3 carries of the game. Cam Ward looking methodical once again. You're kind of thinking, okay, have they really turned the corner, or is this the Titans team that we might see now? And then, they get to fourth and 3, they kick the field goal. You say, okay, I mean, it wasn't terrible. And then, of course, everything falls off the rails after that, and it is all downhill. I found myself, I mean, I'm not going to speak on what other media members are doing, but there certainly was a lot more laissez-faire, laid back type of multitasking going on in the press box yesterday, which I don't know if you can blame them, frankly. I mean, that to me, and I said this afterwards, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, but obviously I've been to probably about 20-ish Titans games now in the press box over the past 3 years. And that may have been the worst football game I've witnessed with my own 2 eyes at Nissan Stadium. And I think that is a hard thing to do.
I would say it's very likely that my worst Titans press box experience was also during a Titans Jags game, but it was probably between the years of like 2013 to 2017 or 15.
Yeah.
When both teams stunk out loud.
It was bad. It was really, really bad. The offense looked miserable. The defense a little bit less miserable, but maybe more so helpless. It was, I mean, special teams also kind of reverted back to a terrible product yesterday from the get-go, really, but also with the fumbles and everything, the fighting. It was overall a team that looked like a team, honestly, after the entirety of last week and the week before saying, don't play like an independent contractor. Don't go out there and play for yourself. It looked like a team that was playing for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we stand on that.
So we're going to hear from interim head coach Mike McCoy here in a second. But I will say this. I'm going to put you guys through having to watch Mike McCoy talk for 34 seconds. But I do have good news after it. And it has nothing to do with my new windows. I promise you. Good news on a Monday. It's Cyber Monday. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yes.
I have good news coming. But first we have to sit through Mike McCoy's opening statement after the Titans lose 25-3 yesterday at Nissan Stadium.
Against a good team. A couple turnovers offensively that hurt us. Any game against a good team, you can't have turnovers. I was very aggressive there at the end of the half on 4th and 1, going for it. It did not work out, and then, we had a delay a game going into that, and then after that, when they get the ball, penalties to give them the opportunity to get points. So instead of us getting points at the end, they get it. So that kind of turned things around. So we got to do a better job there, and so that's that.
Yeah, there were 2 instances in that game where the Titans allowed the Jags to double up points, right? It was the Chim DK fumble that Jack said was a tailspin moment for this team. They allowed the Jags to put up 15 points in back-to-back moments. And, the personal fouls and the extra points, all that stupid stuff too. And then you also had the just botched situation at the end of the first half where the Titans could have gotten closer than 15-3. And whether it's a field goal or touchdown, we can talk about that all types of different ways. And then allowing the Jags to get another field goal because Arden Kia wants to act like a fool at the end of that half too. So here's the good news because, hey, props to you guys. A couple of you guys were spot on. Promo codes, merch site. Yes, the AtoZ Sports new merch site is live, and we have our Cyber Monday deal going on. Code ATOZ20 for 20% off that merch site. So I will actually put the Titans page link in the promo right there. So, and Jeff, Big Ten Jeff, we have Ohio State gear. So we've got team gear. We've got national brand gear. Somebody says that model looks like Sam. When Jake, our multimedia manager, sent me this yesterday, I'm like, who the heck is that guy? I was like, we got to do something.
We should have put Easton's face on there or something.
I mean, I'm one step ahead of you. Like, I was like, who the heck is that guy?
Perfect.
Yeah. So
perfect.
Look,
yes,
so
I love it.
20% off the AtoZ merch. The hoodies. I'm wearing the golf polo right now, and look, it's very comfortable. It fits nicely. It lays nicely over my shoulders, and I got plenty of room where I need the room. But it fits the arms nicely as well. So you get 20% off. I'll show it again. 20% off the AtoZ merch, ATOZ20, 20% off. So this is the Cyber Monday deal going on. Brand new merch store that we have launched officially today. So check that out right there. Overall, and yeah, the with me on there, it makes me look like a giraffe or like Mike Glennon's cousin. But I think I like it. I like it too. So we'll use that one moving forward. So that is the good news on that. So here, let's get back to the bad news.
The bad news
on this.
Super exciting.
Yeah. But. So Mike McCoy, was not wrong in his post-game opening statement, but it's, again, we continue to hear all this. And where we're going to get deeper into all this is because of what observation you had, but Cam Ward kind of got it started as well. So
Cam Ward was real quick on that, on the Mike McCoy thing before we continue to keep going here. The thing that rubbed me the wrong way in that comment there, specifically when he's talking about the breakdown of the game, the I statements, which you'll hear upcoming here in another Mike McCoy comment, reverts to we. When he's talking about the game as a whole, he's talking about how too many mistakes, too many turnovers. I tried to be aggressive, but it didn't work. And then reverts to the we statements. It rubbed me the wrong way, which of course, I don't know if it can any further. I'm so out on the guy, and captain coach speak usually is a little more refined than that, but I had a huge problem with that. And I think that is one of the building blocks into the larger point that we are going to get to later today. But I think that's an important thing to know.
No, it's good. It is a good point. So let's hear from Cam Ward, who was asked about the 4th down on the opening drive. With 4th and 3, they were moving the football on the opening drive against the Jags, and they decided to kick a shorter field goal to take a 3-0 lead. Here's Cam Ward, Titans rookie quarterback, talking about that 4th down decision to kick a field goal by Mike McCoy.
First drive, Cam, did you try to make a case for going for it there on the 4th and 3 at the goal line there?
Yeah, we need to go for it, I believe. What do we have to lose?
Did you kind of make that point clear to coach? Did you guys talk about it?
Oh, I talk about it really all the time. He knows my mindset as a quarterback. I want to go for it every chance, especially now with just what our record displays. And we just got to continue to be the aggressive team.
They were not the aggressive team. And Mike McCoy said, I tried to be aggressive at the end of the half, but let's just hear from Mike McCoy real fast, and then we'll talk about 4th downs, because here's McCoy talking about 4th downs.
The conversation was if it was 4th and 2, we were going for it. If it's 4th and 3, we're going to kick it the first drive, get points. And that's what we said before the play was even snapped. And that's what it was there. And then I was very aggressive going down there at the end of the half, saying it's 4th and 1 with, the time that was left there, get the first down, called timeout if it's inbounds, and then take a couple shots, then just go for a touchdown. And that did not work. So that's on me. I made the decision and it did not work. So
here's what I don't know. And I don't want to get too far off of this, but what the hell is the difference in 4th and 2 and 4th and 3? Who's deciding that? Who is that's the most subjective thing possible. 4th and 2 and 4th and 3.
So
I think 4th and 3 is just the same thing as 4th and 2. It is a down where you can do anything. You run the ball, pass the ball, the whole playbook is wide open, right?
Yeah, it's 3 feet. The difference apparently, and here's the thing that I find even more damning in that conversation is that they made that decision before anything happened. As he said, in that we decided way before that actually happened. If it was 4th and 2, at any point in this drive, we're going for it. If it's 4th and 3, we take the points. First of all, like you said, it's 3 feet, it's 1 yard. At this point, it doesn't really matter in that. I could understand a 4th and 2 versus maybe a 4th and 5 or a 4th and 6. But also, what was one of the first things that Mike McCoy said when he came in and took over the head coaching responsibilities for Brian Callahan? That 4th down decisions were going to be made based on game feel, based on where they were on the field, based on all of these different types of things. You're running the ball on that first drive at a clip with Tony Pollard of around 10 yards per carry. How do you make that? How do you say that earlier in the season, see what's going on in this game as you're driving down the field, and not have the wherewithal to change that decision? And you make that before anything happens on the field there. It's just an absolute laughingstock that you go back on your word, don't mean anything that you say there, and continue to do a disservice to Cam Ward in this offense when you're trying to build any sense of momentum in a game by predetermining what is going to happen on this drive, because it shows you just don't actually care. Like, I don't think you really care. You gotta go for it. You have to continue to put Cam Ward in these opportunities to score more points than this team is already doing, to get this offense on the field. I don't know. That's the big part for me. When he says earlier in the season that it's all about game feel, and you take game feel all out of it, is a huge problem to me.
It's game feel, but it's predetermined game feel.
Yes.
Is what it is, which makes no sense. No structure. As Esco says, he's just winging it, which Easton's all about that. He's just winging it. I did see a comment from Nick saying, at some point you have to kick a field goal. Where did Nick's comment go? And now the comments just jumped on me and now I lost it. So I'm sorry, Nick, but
I mean, also
here it is. Yes. But at what point do you kick? Can't go for it every time. However, I don't like the predetermined yardage, determine it by flow and field. I think like Cam Ward said, what do you have to lose? If you have a 4th and manageable and you're not, there are different things, parameters you have to put on it, right? 4th and manageable on the plus territory, go for it. Who cares? If you are, I think, outside of your own 35-yard line and the game is early enough where it's still up in the air, go for it. If you're at the point where you're down multiple scores, and I don't care if it's 4th and manageable yardage, go for it, like he didn't do in the third quarter. So,
you know where he did go for it? On 4th and 18, down 22.
That's where you have to, because there's no right. But he punted on 4th and 1, punted on 4th and 7 when the game was still somewhat alive. So, all right. So, JT, you went in the locker room yesterday and you texted our group something, and I was like, oh, okay, I know what we're talking about tomorrow. And Ryan's asking why there's a Cam Ward topic that we will definitely get to on Tuesday probably, but we had to get to this one overall. So we're going to hear JT's observations about the locker room being out officially on Mike McCoy. But first, let me tell you guys about my brand new windows. Window Nation came to the house on Tuesday. I was off the show on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday because they showed up at 8:30 and they did a phenomenal job installing all of our windows, brand new windows in our home. They're incredible. Like they really are. I'm like looking at my office window right now. We got the no divider style. They're so easy to open. They're easy to clean, and how they pivot back and forth. They have triple layer silver in them as well, which means they will protect us from a lot of different, whether it's heat, cold, the temperatures outside will not become the temperature inside because these new windows, they really are great. And the install process was crazy good too. The 3 guys from Window Nation came over here. I had 2 master installers of the 3 guys, did a great job. They went above and beyond. They helped me replace a couple bent pieces of metal on a planter box. They didn't have to do that, but they just did it because they would have said, hey, the water will come back inside the house or towards the house if we don't replace this metal that has nothing to do with the window. I'm like, okay, sounds great. You do it. Go for it. They were awesome. It was a great experience. The entire experience for Window Nation has been pretty phenomenal overall. So check them out. WindowNation.com is the website. Now you get a free estimate to have them come to your home, and there's no sweat off your back. You can just say thanks for the presentation, but not right now. Or you can take advantage of a great deal they have going on. 50% off all window styles through the end of the year sale, WindowNation.com.
You also shout out to our friends at BTA Sports, BTA Better for Betters. Listen, got some big news for you upcoming here because we continue to talk about how when you sign up with the code AtoZ Sports, when you download the BTA Sports app, you get a 14-day free trial before the annual 12-month subscription of $79.99, which gets you grandfathered in to everything that BTA is releasing, which is the updates, the quality of life changes, which they continue to add every week, which is amazing. So you get, the rest of 2025 this season, all the way to December 1st of next season. But no, my friends, it is not just about football anymore. I know we're getting close to the end of football season, but guess what? BTA Sports is bringing Major League Baseball to their app in 2026 for the upcoming season. you know me, I'm a diehard baseball fan. I'm a New York Mets fan. Don't want to talk about anything going on right there because it's just as much of a crap show as maybe what's going on here, but I digress. I'm excited to watch the upcoming season and use BTA Sports. You can join me there when you use that code AtoZ Sports when you download the BTA Sports app. Smarter bets start here at BTA Sports.
All right, so JT, you went inside the locker room yesterday, and you texted our chat. This team is out on Mike McCoy. And I want to know what you felt. We've got video to support this, but I want you to set the scene of coming on in here in this locker room and say, yeah, this team is done with this interim head coach.
And I hesitate to use the Q word, which means quit.
Quit.
Yeah.
Quit.
I hesitate
to use quit, which I think is
I hesitate to use quit because I don't want to come out and be wrong about that. I don't want to say that just to say that. I don't want to sound clickbaity with that. I want to, like, if I believe that, I want to say it with my chest and fully believe that. And it's not just about the vibe. It's what people said in the locker room. It's the contradiction to what Mike McCoy said. You know, they almost said immediately right after Mike McCoy's press conference. This was a locker room that I think is out on Mike McCoy. And I said so as much. This is a team that the answers were a lot different. We talked about after the Seattle game and the Houston game, how you felt that tension more than ever, that this team has no answers whatsoever to what's going on. And you saw the frustration mounting every game, especially with guys like Jeff Simmons and JC Latham after the game. You saw that frustration mounting. And yesterday you got to the point where a lot of the answers were deflection. A lot of them were just, frankly, I don't know. I mean, Cam Ward, even like when he was asked about some of this, he said, frankly, I don't know. Like, that's just what it is. And so there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of questions that had no answers. Here's the breakdown of why I came to this. We talked to JC Latham yesterday, and we don't have a clip for JC, but I think this pretty much tells you the story here. We talked about how, kind of asked him, obviously, he's a big part of that offensive line and that run game that was started off the game really, really well. And then it didn't. And so we asked JC Latham, what kind of changed? And before he said anything else, he said, I'm not the coach. I'm not the coordinator. So I trust them, but I'm not going to speak on that. And kind of that was his answer for a couple other questions there. Like, I'm not the coordinator. I'm not calling the plays, so I can't really talk on that. Then we move over to Arden Key, who we talked to him about, obviously, he had one of the unnecessary roughness and started one of the fights yesterday on the field, things like that. And we talked to him about that. And John Glennon asked this question, and I'll read the quote verbatim here because I think it's important. He asked, did it feel like a setback today, Arden? The last 3 games were pretty close one-score games. What happened out there today where it was not that competitive? And I guess this is where we can now play the Arden Key clip here. And just take a listen for yourself because it is so, it's odd. It's cryptic. It's weird.
A lot happened. Some stuff I really can't talk about because I get in trouble. But it definitely was a lot of things that happened today. We just gotta look at the film and hear about it. I just none of that. Just some extra. Yeah, I can't speak on it, but yeah, it definitely was extra things going on. Yeah.
So repeat the John Glennon question that prompted that answer.
Yeah, the question was, did it feel like a setback today? The last 3 games were pretty close one-score games. What happened out there today where it was not that competitive?
And Arden basically just said, there's other stuff. I can't say it. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah. So that is very, very weird. It's cryptic. We don't really understand why he said that, but obviously the second part of that question was then a follow-up that basically said, well, are you talking about things you can't talk about in trouble because of the fights? And that's where he says, no, none of that. So it's not about the rough, the unnecessary roughness, the unsportsmanlike conducts. It's something entirely different, which puts my radar on that. The way you see this team play out there today, you see the defense play not great, but better than the offense, getting a lot of, getting a lot of play out there, and the offense comes back on and has a 3-and-out. They're on the field. And the way that this team was being coached, it puts on my radar that this team might be a little bit out on wanting to play for this staff. Obviously, we talk about how this staff the past couple of weeks probably has no incentive to really, give a crap because they are all going to be out. And so first kind of sense that I got from Arden Key that maybe he on an expiring contract doesn't really care either. And so then we talked to Jeff Simmons afterwards, which we asked Jeff Simmons, or I guess it was Lauren Walsh from, I apologize, I don't know which.
WSMV 4.
Yes. The numbers help 4. But she asked, we just talked to Arden, and he said there were some things that he couldn't really talk about and he would get in trouble. Could you expand on that? And this is what Jeff Simmons had to say. If it loads.
We got to figure it out. I mean, once we get through this season, I mean, we got to do a lot of self-reflecting. And whoever come in to be this head coach is, we need somebody who's going to lead this football team. I mean, that's it. We got to figure it out. Man.
It immediately talks about the next head coach and needing some self-reflecting and figuring out what a leader will look like in the locker room. And you go back to the comment we had from Cam earlier that said we need to go for it, which absolutely directly contradicts the comments by Mike McCoy on going for it on fourth and that entire mindset there. You talk about JC not wanting to talk about anything, kind of diverting. You talk about Arden, talk about Jeff. And I feel comfortable coming to the conclusion that this locker room is completely out on Mike McCoy. They are playing for a guy that they have no respect for, that they do not care for. And I think they understand that Mike McCoy maybe doesn't exactly have the utmost respect for them in terms of trying to get the best out of these players, and his messaging to the media and to the outward doesn't reflect what is actually going on the field. And so I feel very comfortable that this Titans locker room yesterday sent a message to Mike McCoy that said, we're out. I mean, this is not going to work. It is a little bit more of a quitting here, that they are done with this regime. They are done with the staff. And it's hard because there's 5 games left there. So, and we'll get into this next, but you have great evidence now that it's not easy to connect the dots. It's not hard to connect the dots here and say, this team is now out on their head coach, their interim head coach. And yet you still have 5 games left.
So I just put that in the chat, or at least the chat's trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
If the Titans are truly out on Mike McCoy, if the players have actually given up on Mike McCoy with 5 games left, what can the Titans do about it? That's what I'm curious about. What can the Titans actually do about this if they're out on Mike McCoy with 5 games remaining? All right, JT, you can tell us all about Beroc Carts as these comments start to roll in.
Yeah, we'll get the comments continuing to roll in here, but want to tell you all about Beroc Carts. The holiday seasons are coming up and life is short and you got to buy a golf cart. And what better time to do it than right now with our friends at Beroc Carts. They make buying your shiny new golf cart so easy. 0% financing for 36 months. Carts starting at just $6,700. They're open 7 days a week with a full service sale and rental dealership that is locally owned and operated here in the Middle Tennessee area to serve you. One location in Gallatin and their new location in Columbia, Tennessee. There's no dealer fee, no credit card fee, so no hidden fees when you buy your shiny new golf cart. And it is shiny and new because it is stored indoors for your satisfaction and convenience. They also provide a no credit needed option if you want to take that route. So easy to buy your new golf cart when you realize that life is short. And when you do realize that you need a golf cart, do it with our friends at Beroc Carts.
Also, today it's Cyber Monday, which means the AtoZ new merch store is live, and we've got 20% off AtoZ 20. I got to get the right graphic up there because I don't know who the heck is that guy. We got to fix this thing. There we go. All right, so AtoZ 20 is the code for 20% off your merch. I'm going to paste the Titans link in the chat right now. So for all the Titans gear, there's a lot of different things you can get. There's Titans gear, there's college gear, there's NFL team gear. If you have another person in your family that wants some gear, 20% off all of our AtoZ merch, hoodies, golf polos, t-shirts, as you see, hats, the tumblers right there as well. So I'm wearing the golf shirt right now. It's super comfy, super good looking. I like the charcoal color. There's a lot of different colors too. So you can like actually see the different colors that you got there. So AtoZ 20 for that link for the Titans and Jeff. There's Ohio State stuff. I think some of the Notre Dame, some of our logos are pretty sick. I think the Notre Dame logo is phenomenal. So if you've got a Notre Dame person in your family, which you probably do.
Irish fan, yeah,
you probably do because Catholicism and stuff. So all right, or you can just get the regular AtoZ brand, national brand too. Okay, so what can the Titans do? What can they actually do? This team is out on Mike McCoy. They are done. They have seen Mike McCoward that I have gone to bat for. I've carried the Mike McCoward flag for over a month now. When I first called him Mike McCoward on October 27th. It is now December 1st. The internet's picking up on it. There's a lot of
They are. I am willing to bet that I saw more tweets calling him Mike McCoward yesterday than him being called Mike McCoy, which is probably hard to do because there were so many media members who were posting videos afterwards that just used the word Mike McCoy in there to set up the clip. But I think the internet still outpaced us in the media room there. So
with 5 games left, what can the Titans do? JT, I'm going to send you to the chat. What can the Titans do? 5 games left. This team is out on Mike McCoy.
Yeah, let's get to some of these. I mean, Darren says there's nothing that they can really do. The Coach B says, let Denard Wilson take over for the last 5 stretch. Amy Adams Strunk makes history saying firing Mike McCoy and getting rid of him and putting Denard Wilson up there. Hashtag QJ says there is nothing they can do. Richie says keep Nick Holtz as the offensive culture. LOL, which I think is a wild one there. I mean, what can they do? It's hard. I mean, there's a lot of people saying, Ira Hoshi says there's everything they've been doing, just play, which if this is the product on the field, this is going to be the product on the field. I mean, what else can you really do there? Brock Kraft says nothing. The only thing they can do that means anything this season is secure the number 1 pick. So let McCoy lose out, let it ride. Number 1 pick in the balance, which if you saw, your odds just got a lot better yesterday with the New York Jets winning. Kick it to the King says absolutely nothing. Trust the tank. Tall Texan says keep playing for pride, which may be the only thing that a lot of these guys have left. I think Arden Key even in another clip, when talking to him, kind of hinted at that as well. Darius says, give coaching to Denard, nothing they can do. Bork says mutiny and elect their own head coach from the staff. King VC says, when you say the Titans, are you talking about the higher chain of command? I'm talking about the whole
players.
Team. The players.
The players have given up. The Titans players are out on McCoy. Like they are out on that guy. And JT, your observations aligned with what the players were saying, and then how they were different from what Mike McCoy was saying. We did some other digging in some other areas last night. Easton wrote an article at AtoZSports.com/Titans about this, that the felt good, saying that there's a loud and clear message from this Titans locker room that Mike McCoy ain't it, and they are done with this dude, and there's 5 games left.
Yeah.
And so I'll pause you there because King VC came in with that. He also came in with a great super chat earlier, said lock in and like the show. So appreciate that from King VC. Jeff, I see your super chat. We'll get to that
we also have only lock in and like the show. 50% of Facebook viewers have liked the show. That's 50%.
Yes.
That's not a good clip. We need it up. We need it up.
So in my opinion, there are 5 opportunities to have Cam Ward and the rest of these rookies and the young players that you need for moving forward to get better. And I think Mike McCoward is getting in the way of those opportunities. I think, and I believe this strongly believe this, the Titans should, for football reasons, fire interim coach Mike McCoy and make defensive coordinator Denard Wilson the interim head coach for the last 5 games. They are not going to do that. I understand that. Because it has not happened before. And pride is the reason why they won't do it, which is hilarious considering they are 1-11. It's hilarious considering they have gone like 13 quarters or 13 halves of their 24 halves in this season without scoring a touchdown or a point. And they have pride. Like, pride is why they won't do that, but they should. And just if for 5 games for Cam Ward to get some juice, they need juice. They need energy. They need morale. They need to play hard and try to figure some things out in the last 5 games so they can try their damnedest to roll over something worth a bleep to next season. And Denard Wilson has something to gain. Mike McCoy does not. Denard Wilson does. Denard Wilson has gotten the short of the stick every time in his year and almost 2 years as the Titans defensive coordinator. At the very least, he deserves the pay increase for being interim head coach. At the very least, Denard Wilson deserves that. So I think they should fire Mike McCoy and make Denard Wilson the second interim head coach, because Denard's not back next year as the D coordinator, regardless of who the head coach is. Bones Fossil is, and that's why Bone Fossil cannot be the interim coach, because that's an awkward situation with the next coach. But Denard deserves a shot. Denard deserves recognition and to be propped up by this organization who has done nothing but try to tarnish his resume for the other 31 teams by trading away his best players, by having an offense that's so inept that good defensive games are giving up 25 points.
Yeah, it is. I do agree with you. It's not going to happen. This is also something that it's a hard situation, because this is kind of what the big concern was when you did fire Brian Callahan as early as you did, right? Yep. I mean, it was, if you do it later in the season, maybe you don't get to this point, but the fact, like, if you do it week 9, okay, you have, I think you get through the season without this coming to a head, like with the players, but you did it week 6. And that builds and that bubbles up. And I'm not saying it was the wrong decision to fire him. I think it's the wrong decision when you did, because this is the outcome that you brought in someone who, from all around the Titans media, did not think that this was the guy they thought should be the interim head coach. So you bring in probably the least favorable option, someone from the get-go that everyone did not really enjoy, someone who just looked like he was there because, I mean, once again, he was hired as a offensive assistant and now as a head coach. I'm willing to bet that
senior offensive
assistant. I'm willing to guess that this is not what he had in mind or wanted to at the beginning of the season. And so I think you look at this and you say, I mean, that is the right answer if you care about, a lot of the players and building back the locker room. But at this point, you can't, because there is no locker room to be built. It's going to be changed and molded once again by whoever they bring in as the next head coach, who also brings in a new regime and tries, as Jeffrey Simmons puts it, to self-reflect, look in the mirror, and build a culture and a leadership group that is actually going to stick with this team and understand the players on the team.
All right, so I have another follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
Actually, I have two. The first one is, when do we think the Titans players were like, yeah, this is it. I'm over it. Like, was it going into that game? Because they just went 30-24 with a valiant comeback effort against the Seahawks, down 20 points, scoring 2 touchdowns, having an onside kick away from having a chance, right? Like, they just did that. And then they had Thanksgiving, and then they come in here, they go up 3-0, and then give them a touchdown, kickoff, return, fumble, touchdown, 15-3. But where do you think, JT, did they decide, screw it, over?
I mean, I think the idea of it being over has been in a lot of these guys back of the mind for a while,
for sure.
But to come outright and just display it, I think it is this game. I think it is
like I have my answer is,
I think it's when you go down 15-3 and then the offense has three and outs in a row.
I think it was when they kicked the field goal.
I think that's also fair. I think
that's my answer.
I think that is absolutely fair, because you saw in that moment Cam and the offense stay out there for a lot longer than maybe Mike McCoy wanted them to. And then immediately, once Joey Sly and Johnny Hecker run out, the entirety of the small Titans crowd that there was booed Mike McCoy and that team, which says something there, I think, as well. You also talk about, I think, the other 4th down situations. If it wasn't there, it's the next one where we didn't have this clip, but Mike McCoy yesterday in the press conference said after that 3rd and 1, where 3rd and 1, and they are trying to, maybe potentially go for it with down with like 35 seconds on the clock or something like that. You get a delay of game, and Mike McCoy says that he thought Cam was going to snap the ball, which means that nobody's on the same page there. Like, that is another opportunity for them to say, screw it, I'm out. And then also on the defensive side of the ball, which is where we hear more of this sentiment, for them to squander away that opportunity by going for it there, not getting it, and then the Jags getting the ball with 20 seconds left after your defense has been on the field for a majority of the first half. I don't know. I mean, that's also another one, is where your coach is putting your head coach with his offensive decision making on certain down and distances in the feel of the game, is creating more work and more poor opportunities for your defense. And I think that resentment could absolutely have bubbled over in that moment and said, I'm done. Like, it is what it is. And that's where you started to get into the fights. And that's where these things start to, if you're already mad at your head coach and you have this other team saying whatever they want to, you have a punter, a white guy, telling Julius Chestnut that he's going to kill him. Yeah. Like, and your coach already doesn't actually care enough to put you guys in successful situations. Does that build on that? And that's why we see all of these fights and things like that. Like, I don't know.
I have another. Okay. So that was my first follow-up question. I have another follow-up question about firing Mike McCoy and why it's the right decision. So another question here in a second, but first, and a couple of other chats and super chats, because you guys have had some good comments during this last back and forth here. First, I'm going to tell you guys about Barton Jury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. It is still open enrollment season. We've got that going on with AtoZ Sports. right now with Barton Jury Insurance, because that's where our health coverage is for our company, for our employees, and our team here through Barton Jury Insurance Group. Customized solutions got you right there. So whatever you're looking for, whether it's a 401k planning for your financial future, whether you're looking on a personal or a health coverage standpoint for you and your family. Maybe you're also looking out there for your home, your auto, your rental, your boat, umbrella policy, whatever that looks like for you. Workers' comp is something that AtoZ Sports has. Our policy that we're required to through the government to have a workers' comp policy. And it's really difficult because we're a digital company. We have employees across the entire country in all these different states. All these different states have different laws and different rules, and I'm not keeping up with it. But Barton Jury does help us out a lot on the workers' comp side of things as well. So check them out online. BartonJury.com is where to go.
Yeah, also shout out our friends at BTA Sports. Once again, big news. MLB is coming to BTA Sports, and you can get in on the action and all of the majority, I guess, of next year's action if you use the code AtoZ Sports when you download the app to get a 14-day free trial, and then $79.99 for the rest of the year. So that's also including the next 2 weeks of December. 14-day free trial, and then $79.99 that gets you grandfathered into all of the amazing features that they are bringing, including Major League Baseball for the upcoming season, and then all the way through and up to December of next year's football season. Once again, where insight meets instinct. Got to check them out at BTA Sports.
All right, so here we are. All right, my first follow-up question was, when do we think this roster gave up on McCoy? My gut tells me one of the moments could have been the decision to kick the field goal on 4th and 3 on the opening drive of that game after the defense gets a stop, big stop. Because also, remember this. Do you remember what happened on the opening kickoff? The Titans kickoff to the Jags. Do you remember what happened?
No.
Joey Sly pummeled that returner. The Titans kicker just laid the boom on that return man with a legitimately hard tackle. And then the Titans get a stop. They get a sack from Kevin Winston Jr. They get the punt back. They go down. They're driving. It's 4th and 3, and they kick a measly field goal to go up 3-0. Then the Titans defense quickly gives up like 2 plays, 70-something yards, covers it, and a quick drive for a touchdown. Then Chim DK fumbles. Then another touchdown. Then that's when the penalties start on that extra point that leads the Jags to go for 2 to make it 15-3 ball game, right? So that's what I think. So here's my other question, because only Outdoors fan says, why are people acting like Denard is a great coach? His defense is giving up 27.5 per game, which is surprisingly only 3rd worst in the league. Well, it's because of what is Denard working with?
Yeah, I mean, that's
so Denard. His top 3 corners are gone. One of them's on injured reserve. 2 of them get traded. His most productive edge rusher was also traded after a season when his inside linebacker the year before, Ernest Jones, was traded, and injuries happen. And he's playing with a new secondary every week. Yet they're creating pressure. They sacked Trevor Lawrence 3 times early in the game. And so here's my second follow-up: is that you tell me I'm wrong. I don't know where the question is in this because I got distracted, but tell me I'm wrong here, that if Denard Wilson is named the second interim coach after the potential firing of Mike McCoy, this defense is like, hell yeah, let's go. There are 5 games left. You tell me Jeffrey Simmons and those guys are like, all right, let's go time. Let's help our guy Denard out. That is absolutely going to happen. Tell me I'm wrong on that.
I don't think you're wrong, because in my gut, I feel like that's what would happen based on the vibe of the room. I
think the offense would go the same way.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that would create a spark. It's not going to happen, which once again I think is malpractice in the way they handled the end of Brian Callahan's tenure. Certainly it felt like that, but I think you've seen Denard Wilson over the past couple of weeks. And once again, talking about 27.5 points, we can get into this a little bit as well, in the fact that, they gave up 25 points where Marcus Harris, a 6th-round rookie, was starting on the outside. He's a guy that should be playing the nickel. Kevin Winston Jr., who should be playing safety, was playing nickel cornerback because they don't have anybody. Like Kevin Winston Jr. after the game yesterday was saying, yeah, I mean, he had an absolutely rough day, and that's putting it nicely. And he basically said, yeah, it was a hard place to be in because he was playing a whole new position and trying to work with that. And so, like, I think you look at what he had to work with yesterday, and certainly when I was watching the game, Marcus Harris on Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas Jr. on Kevin Winston Jr. was, Brenton Strange in the middle, with Kevin Winston Jr. having to play actual nickel quarterback, was a scary sight, and it ended up being a scary sight. So I don't know what else and especially if the defense is going to be on the field as much as they are right now, because the offense cannot do anything better. I think that is that's also not going to help. So it would give them a spark. I don't know if, it's not worth the national out.
Why not? Like, that's
because Amy is
no. I know she's not going to do it. Like, I understand that, but like, my whole point is, like, because you're going to be even more of an embarrassment. Like, you're already embarrassment. Like, somebody said the Titans should be 0-12. Yeah, they should be 0-12. There's no way the Cardinals should have lost that game. We all know that. But the Titans had an opportunity gifted to them, and they needed an interception, fumble, touchdown recovery
from Titans legend Tyler Lockett.
Yes, like, that's one of the 15 touchdowns this team has scored all season.
Yes, 2
of them have been punt returns. It should have been a third yesterday, but DK got tripped by the killer punter, death threat punter, according allegedly did the death threat punter for the Jags. But so here Darren says it would happen, but it still won't matter. The spark for Denard. Why won't it matter? Like, I'm not talking about like Darren. I don't know if you're saying the Titans, it won't matter because they won't win games. I understand that, but there is opportunity for the Titans to still make progress within the margins in these last 5 games. And in my opinion, it's not going to happen because Mike McCoy will not let it happen. And then the players, especially on defense, don't give a damn anymore because Mike McCoy is in the way.
Yeah, and it's a big part of trying to get your rookies to develop more. And yesterday, certainly Mike McCoy, with how he's kind of managing the game right now, is doing a disservice to these rookies as well, because it was obvious from, week 8 onwards or so that these rookies were going to all be trial by fire in a sense. But it feels now that a lot of these rookies have seemingly hit their wall, are, instead of being trial by fire, are being thrown into the fire and just kind of forced into it to burn. I mean, yesterday, I don't know if there was one rookie that had a good performance. Like, I think save for Gunnar Helm, and Gunnar Helm still doesn't get a lot of opportunities, maybe because what actually is Gunnar Helm? Is he a tight end 1? Is he more of a role player? But every other rookie out there yesterday struggled. I mean, you look at Cam Ward, which I don't know what your guys' grades were, but I imagine they were
F. I gave him an F.
Yeah. I mean, what did Easton
said D flat.
Yeah, of course he did on his,
because his metrics.
His metrics.
His metrics said he can't give him an F because he was not the reason why they lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, he did not have a good game. He played pretty poorly. Chimere Dike he fumbled the kick return, which, rookie mistake. Alec Ayamaner, once again, dropping a lot of catches, not getting a lot of separation, is a guy that his stock continues to dwindle here, down the stretch, even though he's coming back from injury. Marcus Harris having to play on the outside against Jacoby Myers. And like I said, Brian Thomas Jr. went as well as it expected. Kevin Winston Jr. had his worst game as a starter because he was not playing his correct position. It was, the rookies all looked pretty miserable yesterday.
Yep.
And I think that's a result of them having to play these snaps because out of necessity, but also that Mike McCoy is putting them in the position that especially on the defensive side of the ball, where these rookies have to play so many snaps. When we talked all through week 6 to 9 about how, the snaps are catching up to guys like Alec Iammanor and some of the other rookies, right?
Yep.
And so now the amount of snaps that the defensive rookies are playing right now may just be too much.
All right, I've got 7 comments I want to read, and then we'll wrap this thing up here. But first, JT, tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. And that's why we trust our friends over at the Bone and Joint Institute. It's located in Franklin, right off of I-65, with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help your recovery and can do everything under one roof for your convenience, whether that's clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. They can do it all. Don't fumble your recovery. To schedule an appointment at that location or one of their satellite locations, go to boneandjointtn.org.
Also, shout out to our great friends at Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. That is where to go there. And one last time, I'll use the one with my edited face on there first. But our merch store is live. It is Cyber Monday. I am pasting the link to the main shop where you can see the NFL teams, the college teams branding that we have, the Titans branding that we have, the hats, the hoodies, the pullovers, the golf shirts that I'm wearing here. 20% off with code ATOZ20. That's ATOZ20. For 20% off. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in here. So if we've got 16 college brands, I believe, all 32 NFL brands, plus the national AtoZ branding as well. So check that out there with ATOZ20 for Cyber Monday. This deal is not forever. So if you're thinking about it, jump on it and do that there. So, all right. 7 comments to get to. I want to start with Super Chats. Kick of the King says 5 more games. Trust the Tank should be 0-12. Yeah, they should be 0-12. 5 more games left. They are probably going to lose out.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last week saying that there may be 5 more winnable games and included both Jags games. I don't think that anymore.
Yeah.
So
not with the Jags playing in the last game of the season is the Jags, right?
Yes.
And so they're going to be playing for something.
Yeah, I mean, as long as like the Texans don't collapse and the Colts lose out and they clinch the division, like in week 17.
But they'll be playing for.
Yeah, I mean,
the Jags be playing for something. More likely than not.
It would take it would take them not playing any of their starters, and I still don't know if the Titans would win. The Saints is the only other game. I mean, the Saints
are better than the Titans.
They looked really bad yesterday, and they somehow almost
scored 17 points.
They did. They
Titans
did.
scored 3.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that game, but like I think that's, and then you have next week, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the Titans can beat the Browns next week, and it's not because of the Browns' offense, or obviously we'll get into
AtoZ Sports says take the under.
Take the under, yeah, not because of Shedeur or anything, but because you're playing maybe one of the top 3 defenses that you'll see all season, and it's going to be snowing and windy and cold.
Yep.
And I don't think this team, as we've talked about today, cares enough. So.
Yeah. All right. Big Ten Jeff has a non-football super chat, but a worthy one. Off topic, could use some prayers today. Have a second interview for a company that would be a career instead of a job and really want it. Travel's involved and seems like a great fit. So hopefully, good luck to Jeff there, because he had a raw deal with that last job that he got after getting laid off this fall, but luckily his Ohio State Buckeyes are the number 1 team in the country and probably going to win the whole damn thing again. So he's got something going for him. Wes says Austin and PK were the only ones with foresight to know that firing Callahan was a horrible idea. The rest of the Titans media were the callous that led to this disaster, now backtracking their stance, being ingrates towards Miss Amy after she did what they forced her to do. This is the most off comment I've seen all day. Like, First of all, JT and Easton deserve credit to hear. I don't know what anybody else said because I don't go to Titans media availabilities, but I kind of feel like most Titans media felt like firing Callahan 16 games into this thing was a dumb decision. And so, but I don't know what all West believes is happening. And, Mike McCoy's listening to the media. That's for sure. Is Amy? I don't know. But Amy made a terrible decision. The one thing I agree with, a terrible decision to fire your coach with 11 games remaining, because this is what happens. You play 6 games and the team's out on the interim guy. And so now you got 5 games left. You have 5 games left and you're like, what the hell are they going to do?
Yeah, I seemingly remember that there was a huge discourse between Nashville local media and fans. And most Nashville local media were saying that this was a terrible idea. And everyone came after us saying, you're just talking about that for clicks, that you think it's a terrible idea.
Or they're carrying PR for Callahan, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So. And hell, ladies come back and say, hey, y'all are the ones who wanted to fire Vrabel for offensive guru Callahan. Look, there was not a fire Vrabel to go hire Brian Callahan. It was independent. Did Mike Vrabel deserve to lose his job? Yeah. And then there's a coaching search that led to Brian Callahan, which seemed like very good process.
Yeah.
And I still think it was a good process of how they hired Brian Callahan. They did their due diligence. Brian Callahan was a wanted guy. It did not work out. Turns out, people that get fired by the Titans are usually not as bad as they're at their jobs as they look like when they're here.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. Rand Carthon is saying that he would have taken Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, Gibbs is ideal scenario if you could trade back. So anyway, JJ said, why are we overlooking Fossil? So the idea of why Bones Fossil was not made the interim is because Bones Fossil is an asset and a valued one that is under contract for multiple years after this season. And the idea is that you want Bones Fossil as your special teams coordinator for the foreseeable future. And so avoid the awkwardness of having a new head coach come in and have the interim on his staff to where he's looking over his shoulder and saying, well, if you fired one guy to make Bones Fossil the interim, what's going to stop you from doing it again? There's that there. And I just think it makes sense to, if you want to keep Bones Fossil, which is important, then this is the right way to do that. That's kind of the ways you look at it. Anything to add on that?
No, I think that's exactly right.
Curtis says, stay healthy and don't pick up bad habits. And yes. And I don't know about the stay healthy part, but bad habits are being picked up. And I think Mike McCoy is a big part of that. David says, Austin, did you not see the footage from yesterday in the locker room? This team was having a party in the background. This team doesn't care. Yeah, I know. That's the point. They don't care. They gave up on the coach. The interim head coach, they gave up on. Mike McCoy, they don't have respect for. What's he going to – that was one of the camp leader.
That was, I guess I can also add that. In my 5-ish games or so that I've been in the locker room, I've never heard that much
this season,
yelling and shouting this season. So,
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
All right, that is all.
It is all.
But again, check out the merch store. Seriously, there's been a lot of work that I've gone to this. It does look good. You can shop the gear. We've got team collections, a national collection, all different types of things, whether it's shirts, hoodies, hats, accessories. You get stickers for whatever you would want a sticker for your computer. I think some of the team gear is pretty sick with all of our individual logos on that. So Titans, NFL, college, and everything. So check that out.
Yep.
I'll put the link in there one more time to our Shopify store. And yes, I know that I look like Davis Mills on that, but this guy has a long neck to begin with.
He does. And
so I just put my face on there and the neck, look, what's the difference? The neck is not my neck. That guy
honestly, honestly, it looked like a good Photoshop because I didn't realize it wasn't your neck. It's the first time. Maybe I should have looked closer.
It's dude's neck.
Yeah.
Whoever this guy is.
Okay.
Jake and I was like, who the heck is this guy? We got to fix this. So
that's so good.
All right, guys.
So good.
Like the show. Hope
Yes.
everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving break. Hit that like button. More content to come. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning on a Tuesday. Buck will be live tonight for AtoZ Primetime again. See you guys later. Appreciate it.